it's impossible to know whether he thought he wouldn't be reelected or he simply disagreed with the values of the, as I said, radical Republican House. But I will say this. It shows that the Republican effort is losing some of its critical members. If you notice, on Monday, another Republican House member from California, Ed Royce, chose not to run for re-election. And you can see people deserting their team in a very surprising way. And I think it says a lot about the kind of momentum that they don't have and the kind of internal support which they are clearly losing.
But Tom, how does it differ from any other midterm cycle? We know how these things generally go.
I think this is a different midterm because, to me, we have such a stark choice in this midterm between two completely different value systems and views of America's future. And I think that you can see that the Republicans have chosen to have a very divisive, openly racist way of thinking about the world. And I think that what we are trying to do is talk much more about an inclusive, just, and prosperous future. And I think Americans are going to have a very, very stark choice to make. I don't think we can have one shred of overconfidence because I believe that we are absolutely in a fight for the soul of America, for who we are and our most basic values.
Tom, we know, of course, the economy is very central to what we do here as Americans, and the market is giving a vote of confidence for this tax reform plan. Warren Buffett was on this morning. He thinks it's not yet even baked into what we're seeing because of the 14 percentage points that we were previously paying as companies to the government are now getting back to shareholders. Do you disagree with the market direction and the reaction to the tax reform plan under the Republicans?
I think the tax reform plan is a great gift to the corporations of America and to the richest people in America, and that's reflected in the stock market. But the fact of the matter is that tax plan is an attack on 80% of American people. It values the dollars and the rich people in this country at a gigantic premium over everybody else. It is absolutely unjust. And the fact that it's reflected in the ownership of corporations who got a gigantic tax break at the expense of working Americans doesn't surprise me. But I will say this. Long-term prosperity is based on the American people and their prosperity. And the idea that we watch the stock market as a measure of how America's doing, it's really only a measure of how the people who own stocks are doing, and that's the top 10% at best.
But many Americans have 401ks. They're invested in mutual funds and ETFs and index funds. Certainly, they've reaped some benefit. JCPenney CEO Marvin Ellison thinks his core customer makes $80,000 or less will have an indirect benefit from the tax reform plan by having more disposable income in their pocket. You disagree with that entirely? You think this only benefits the wealthy in corporate America?
The day that I listen to the heads of American corporations to tell me what's good for the American people, that will be the day. The fact of the matter is, if you look at that plan, they took $1.5 trillion to $2 trillion out of the budget. They're going to use that to cut services for Americans, cut education, cut health care, cut food for kids in school, cut training. Long term, this country does well when the American people do well, not when the corporations do well, not when the richest Americans do well. And that is a tax plan aimed at benefiting the rich and hoping that some of it trickles down to everybody else. It's totally unjust. I don't think the one thing you know about markets, and I will call Mr. Buffett and ask him whether he agrees with it, markets fluctuate. Long term, what we should care about is the health of the American people, the welfare of the American people, and I don't think that tax plan does a thing for them. It's terrible for them.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.